Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Next Issue podcast. As you can see, this is our our collaborators are still dealing with issues all over the world. They've actually
We,
this time around they've been recruited by President Ross uh, to stop a menace. So we'll see how that goes for them.
well, one of them was actually eaten by a shark last week. So and the other
Yeah,
was.
yeah, that one's gonna be hard to get back. I feel, but I think we have
We
the
were able to
technology.
download consciousness into an AI. So
Like that
we'll see.
like that Johnny Depp movie that came out during the pandemic to HBO that no one watched?
Yeah. That,
Exactly
that
like
that's
that.
that's Josh now.
Exactly like that. Yeah. We just don't know where to
Yeah,
put Josh. We don't have a body to put him in. We keep asking David
we've
Cross
got. Yeah.
because it'd be
Right
seamless
now we just
transition.
have him on a external hard drive.
Yeah.
He's just chilling on an external hard drive, like a 10 terabytes. So
Yeah. I mean, thumb drives are so large now that we could just put him on a thumb drive.
yeah.
Um,
10 terabytes of Josh sounds like a rom-com from the future.
Let's pitch it. Let's put it together. You, me, and
I'm gonna put it
Chat
together.
GPT. We'll have Chat GPT do the heavy lifting and we can polish it.
Yeah, totally.
Nice. So when you see that in summer of 2027 on Netflix, just know that this is where it all started.
10
Um,
terabytes.
we do have a pretty packed show today. We're gonna do a few things. The first one of those being, as you probably saw in the thumbnail, we're gonna check out the Captain America: Brave New World. So obviously, this isn't a reaction. We've already both seen it. You can check out my reaction on the channel. But there's a few things that we kind of want to talk about. Um,
It's like a third time reaction for me. Still technically
yeah,
a reaction, but
funny enough,
just not the first reaction.
yeah, funny enough, I probably react to those trailers every darn time. I wonder where I left my headphones. Okay, well, I'll try it without headphones. We'll see how that goes. All right, let me pull up the trailer. We'll check it out, and then we'll go in and talk about it a little bit because there's some very interesting things
Get
that we
off my plane. That's my
learned.
best Harrison Ford.
That I knew exactly what you were doing as soon as you did it. So I think, as far as those standards go, you nailed it.
Nice.
Uh, let's see. How does this look? Okay, cool. I have it on my vertical monitor, and I was afraid it would just be like a giant strip like that when I showed it here. So all right, yeah, let's take a look, or a second look at Captain America: Brave New World, coming in February 2025, which happens to also be Valentine's Day. Once again, this is going to be our Madam Web of next year.
Oh,
In date
I hope
alone,
not, and I hope so.
I hope only in date in the release date. I hope that's the
Yeah.
only thing that they have in common.
I do
Maybe
hope that they weirdly push a lot of Pepsi product in this movie too.
I do hope they drop a few Britney Spears bangers on there from the early aughts. I wouldn't mind that either. All right, so let's take a look at the trailer. Let me know if you can hear that, Jeff.
Yeah, I think
Wilson. Thanks for coming in. Well, thank you for the invite, sir. I have to admit, I'm still getting used to the new look. They said lose the mustache or lose the election.
They're the best at it. They're the best at transitioning actors.
In the past, but I want to make another run at making Captain America an official military position. And if we disagree on how to manage this situation, then what happens?
You disagreed before, so that makes this a good question. I like that they just skipped to like them out of the room.
A better way forward.
Yeah. See, the first time I saw this trailer, I did not catch at all that was Isaiah Bradley.
Oh, I see.
Sir, your inner circle's been compromised.
Him yelling Isaiah didn't give it away.
Don't want to.
I guess I just didn't hear it.
Okay.
It's a trap.
That's why I worked with the captain because I'm an old man. So
Power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
Whose funeral was that, do you think?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You may be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers.
That was the Shield. The Shield did all that. He threw it so hard.
I think that's incomplete shot. That's got to be an incomplete shot.
Oh, I see. I was like, it's a weird angle, but oof, worth it just for that shot. I gotta say,
totally.
yeah, I will say, Jesus, where is it? There we go. The God bless McDonald's if only for the fact that they spoiled the Red Hulk, so now they have to show it in the trailer, right?
I think so. This movie is 7-8 months away or something like that. February, whatever, however many months that is.
Yeah.
And it's real early, especially for such a CGI heavy movie to be showing, I think, anything. So I think McDonald's did kind of force Marvel's hand
Now,
into accidentally being like, oh, well, this is already leaked. And then you start seeing other pictures start leaking. So I think they kind of are like, well, let's just hurry up and get something together so that we can just go ahead and get it out there.
now, granted, this movie has been done. Part of it has been done for a while, right? Everything they're doing now is like reshoots and stuff like that. But it's very interesting that I mean, I feel like they almost had to show us the Red Hulk, otherwise we were gonna be like, what the hell? Where is he? Like, why are we like, why are you hiding him? We know he's in the movie.
Yeah, I think that kind of
That's
But
the first thing. Yeah, that's the first thing on my list I want to talk to you about, Jeff. So, Avengers have a Hulk. Now we have this Red Hulk. So there's a few things, right? Not only is he the Red Hulk, obviously, William Hurt passed away. I believe last year, or the year before. But not the year before, maybe. It was definitely before the shooting, so they had to recast. Yeah, Carlos in the chat, they had to tease us with Red Hulk. They really did. But yeah, of course, William Hurt unfortunately passed away, so he's been recast with Harrison Ford. While same reason we have that line of like, you know, still getting used to the new look or whatever.
Yeah,
reminiscent of Don Cheadle, James Rhodes walking into the congressional hearing with Tony. Is like, it's you. He's like, it's me. I'm here. Deal with it. You know, replacing Terrence Howard, everyone's favorite mathematician.
It would be fun if, like, every time they introduced a new James Bond actor, like the James Bond actor would be like, "I'm wearing a new suit" or something like that.
Yeah,
just a little nod to the actor change.
I do think it's funny they didn't do it for Cassie Lang. Like, they didn't. Obviously, she was just a child growing up, but like they've recast that actor. They recast that character 3 times, right? She was a little girl. Then there was a time jump, and we had one person portraying the role. And then for the actual Quantumania movie, so in Endgame, it was one person, and then in Quantumania, it was the final version of Cassie Lang. So, but they didn't even make a point to like address it, like, "Oh, you."
I feel like there were time jumps and stuff on some of those, so they didn't have to like.
Quantumania and Endgame happened not too far from each other, so like, you know, like Scott could have been like, "Oh, change your hair" or something, you know, like because she is now. I think she's got lighter hair than the brunette that she had in Endgame. So either way, recasts are gonna happen. But yeah, we have a Red Hulk. What the hell?
I'm excited. I'm excited for this Red Hulk. I was not reading Hulk during the War of Hulks or when the Red Hulk first appeared, but I was reading Avengers, and so he was popping up in and out of Avengers. And I like that he's kind of like the sassy aggro Hulk, like just very. I'm ready to fight, and let's, you know, whatever. He does pop up a lot in. I think he pops up a lot in AVX too. AVX as well.
Yeah, I think it's funny when he first popped up. Obviously, they didn't. It was a mystery who this character was, right? In World War Hulk. So, I think it would have been a dead giveaway if he had kept the mustache. Sometimes they draw him with the mustache, with the Thunderbolt Ross mustache.
The
iconic
Red Hulk.
design.
Yeah, I still remember him having a mustache too. That's what I was trying to.
He has it sometimes. Sometimes he doesn't. For the most part, he doesn't. I guess, which is weird because the Hulk sometimes has a beard, so I don't know how that works. I really like the character. The run that I remember the most with the Red Hulk is Charles Soule's Thunderbolts with an apostrophe. So like they work for Thunderbolt Ross and he's part of the team. And it's like Elektra and the Punisher. So it's a version of the Thunderbolts, but they work for the government under Thunderbolt Ross. That's the one I remember the most. Outside of like the World War Hulk of it all, of like, oh, who is this Red Hulk that just showed up in the like at the last page of the issue, and then we got to figure out who it is. And I believe they kept it a mystery for a little while.
Yeah, it was a few months before they let it. They revealed that it was Thunderbolt Ross.
So do you think he's gonna? It seems like at the beginning of the trailer, Harrison Ford wants to work with Sam again. But if you look at the background of this and all the shots with Captain America, they're in the same garden. So they're definitely fighting each other. But I don't know how far into the movie this is going to be. So
yeah, again, so I don't know if I'd necessarily, whenever we're this early into before a release, I don't know if I'd necessarily trust all the shots.
So
they're certainly not always.
You're saying that me theorizing that Captain America's shield is tearing up the White House because that's how it's edited. It's not real? How dare you?
Well, I'm just saying, you remember the last Spider-Man movie trailer had it was just Tom Holland jumping to fight like Sandman. At the very end of the trailer, it was just Tom Holland's Spider-Man jumping at the very final scene in front of the Statue of Liberty, and he's going up against Sandman and all the other villains. But they had edited out both the other two, like you couldn't see the other two Spider-Men because they weren't there yet.
I believe you could see the lizard getting kicked.
Yeah. So there was something there, but they saved it. They pulled it from the commercial part. So I think that there's Red Hulk or something is just shooting through the White House at that moment.
Gotcha. I'm looking for the next shot to transition, but I think Harrison Ford's going to do a good job. I like Harrison Ford, obviously. Big fan.
And then I was watching a comic pop thing, and I don't remember this, but they were mentioning how in Thor Ragnarok, some of the early trailers showed when Hela had Thor's hammer and was like holding it, and it busted. Initially, like in some of those trailers, it was like a city scene, like she was in the city doing it, and in the movie she's like,
they changed the background, right, from that the plains in Norway or wherever Odin was. It was there in the middle of the city in the trailers, but then in the movie we know that they're like in the middle of nowhere.
So that's why I'm a little like. And then Infinity War Infinity War had Hulk running when they were all doing like in the
scene that never happened.
The scene that never. So there's like stuff in trailers that we never get to see, or that is just.
So I have, funny enough, you mentioned that scene. I have a Funko Pop. Well, I have I have a lot of Funko Pops, but the two that are relevant to this, it's a Hulkbuster from Infinity War, which we assume the assumption is that Bruce Banner's in it, and then I have a variant of that, which is Hulkbuster with Hulk ripping out of the Hulkbuster, but that never happens.
It never happens.
So like they went as far as making a toy for that film with the Hulk busting out of the Hulkbuster armor. All right. Next thing I want to touch on, and these are just kind of some like things that are kind of noticeable and that are really interesting to address. So this photographer, I was looking for the other shot, but I don't know where it is. You see this little green hand? It's green. It's been confirmed. It's green. We believe, and people believe, and I don't know if it's been confirmed, but the leader is back. All the way back from the Incredible Hulk movie, Tim Blake Nelson's leader character is back. So this photographer with the green hand is the leader. There's another shot where he's like on the phone, and you can see him from the back. I was trying to look for that, but I don't know whether in the shot by shot. I don't know where it went. So that's really interesting, right? That the leader is back, because the leader's. I feel like he's like one of those characters that is integral to the story of the Hulk. So bringing him in here, it's pretty interesting. What did you think of the leader back in the Incredible Hulk film?
Well, I love Tim Blake Nelson, just on principle alone. I thought he was a fine character. I'm excited that they're bringing him back. He's a little under, developed, I guess, at this point as a character in total. But yeah, he's a big part of the comics, and I think we know. Well, this movie will probably lead into Thunderbolts with an asterisk. So if I were to guess, my guess is that at the beginning of this trailer we see him say, "Hey, we want to make Captain America a military or a government thing again." So my guess is that he's recruiting Sam to lead what would eventually become the Thunderbolts, and he's trying to create a government Avengers sort of entity, a U.S. Avengers, and he's probably got Tim Blake Nelson's help on the side, trying to create new super soldiers or whatever.
Okay. That would make sense, because the leader's abilities, if you will call them that, is that because of that Hulk blood that got into his brain expanded, so like he's now super smart now.
Mm-hmm.
But he is green, sometimes red. He's been the red leader, he's been the green leader, but he has like a giant
forehead.
Head. Yeah.
Do you think he will look more interesting? What was from the Green Lantern movie?
I can't remember.
What's his name?
Brain.
Who also has a big head?
There's too many big head characters. Say what you will about Quantumania, I think they did MODOK as gross looking as I could imagine him on the screen.
In my head, I would have never imagined MODOK to look like that. Yeah, there he is. Yeah,
here's the shot I was looking for. So yeah, I mean, what's under that hat, huh? You cowards! Show us that big bull.
It can't be that big. I mean, I guess. I bet the top of his head is touching the top of that hat. I don't know,
man. If you hear, I don't know if you can see my mouse. I guess you can't. Yeah, I don't know. That looks like a big old hat. It could be like angled weirdly.
Yeah, it could be angled. We need some scientists to kind of theorize.
Maybe it's like a Johnny Bravo type of hat that it goes up and out, so you can't see it from this angle. Johnny Bravo's hair was like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But I am glad to see Tim Blake Nelson. I think he's a fantastic performer.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched HBO's Watchmen, you should, not just for him, because everyone's fantastic on that show, and the show's just overall great. And you can see some big blue dong, which I know people that watch this channel just love us talking about big blue dongs. It's one of the things that got us there. So
it's at the top of our SEO list.
That's right. But yeah, I'm interested. Yeah, I mean, he's great in that, like in a Rorschach-esque type of character.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah. You know what? I like the vibes that this movie is giving off. It's very much a political thriller feeling to it. It's got that kind of click, 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 music happening in the background, suspenseful.
As the kids would say, this is giving Winter Soldier, and
it's very much giving Winter Soldier.
My favorite MCU film. So very interested into where, I mean, the Winter Soldier was really just kind of the Manchurian Candidate, which is funny because Robert Redford was also in the original one, I think. So anyways,
this is the American president. This will be the American president of Marvel movies. Get out my White House.
In an alternate multiverse, Robert Redford probably did end up becoming president because we couldn't stop Hydra. We, as in the good guy.
Exactly.
So
I do enjoy that Harrison Ford is now part of the Marvel universe, and now
that's cool.
He
He's
gets
got
to
the
get asked about Marvel and Star Wars for however much
and
longer he is
Indy.
with us,
So he's got
and
Indiana
Indy,
Jones. He's got Marvel stuff. He's got Star Wars stuff. And
Jack
how much he
Ryan.
loves the press. That Harrison Ford loves talking to the press.
Yeah,
It's
and
his
he loves
favorite
it
time.
when he gets the nerdier it gets, the more he loves it.
Yes. If you're watching this and you ever meet Harrison Ford, ask him the most obscure Star Wars or Marvel question you can think of. He'll respect you. He will.
Yeah.
He will respect you. He'll be like,
He
"Oh,
might
this
give
is
you
a
a hug.
real fan.
He's known as
This
a
guy's a
hugger.
real fan. Get off my plane." Do you think people? What do you think is the most requested quote from Harrison Ford? Is it "I
It's gotta
know" or I think "Get off my plane's" got to be pretty high on the
it's
list.
gotta be pretty high up on my honestly, I would be like, is that why he learned to become a pilot just so he could like land the plane and he can like turn to
Well,
the people he's flying around, just be like, get off my plane.
luckily he's okay, but there was a few times where he wasn't that good of a pilot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He's
So, all right. Next up, another really interesting thing that needs to be addressed, and I'm sad that Clay's not here because he's always complaining. I was gonna say the B word, but we're pretty early into the stream for me to start cussing, so I won't. We'll save that for the second half of the show when the advertisers don't care anymore.
Yes.
We see Tiamat, which is for those that didn't watch the Eternals movie, which is probably a lot of people. It's that celestial body that was kind of stuck in the didn't fully come out because the Eternals stopped it. This is Captain America flying over the body of Tiamat, and it looks like there's a big battle there taking place.
Mm-hmm.
Some places point out that those are Japanese fighter planes that are flying around. So maybe it's like a battle for resources that they're mining the body of the immortal. We know from the Guardians that these Celestials, they have resources inside of their bodies can be mined for resources. So if there's one thing humans are gonna do is mine this shit out of
We're
something.
gonna mine the heck out of something.
Believe it, right?
How long? I wonder how long story wise it's been since Tiamat has shown up. I mean, I know it's been years in our universe, in our reality. How because when did the Eternals come out?
2018, maybe.
2018?
I don't know. I'm bad with movie year.
Yeah. And
Everything feels like it just happened last week though for me. So
yeah. I'm also I need to go back and watch the Eternals because I don't really remember. I know some of them left to go meet up with Harry Styles.
Icarus flew into the sun, literally.
Oh yeah, that's right.
True to his name, Icarus. Or maybe he
Oh,
just flew too close to the sun and then didn't make it.
and then didn't make it.
Salma Hayek died.
Salma Hayek died.
Favorite Eternal. Some representation there.
Then like 3 of them got zapped to the or whatever
with Star Fox, right?
I guess is the only person left on Earth the Black Knight still from that movie,
and I think Cersei and what's the name of the one that stayed looking very adolescent?
Oh, the
Pixie. Pick? I don't know. I don't remember.
Pixie.
But yeah,
but they got depowered. But that person was depowered.
Yeah, depowered. So I guess in theory they're just base humans now. But for sure, Cersei is that her name? No, maybe
Cersei's an Eternal. Yeah, I think Cersei's there.
Yes. God, I get so confused.
Cersei and Black Knight are the only ones left over.
Ooh, remember when
I do like that they're trying to tether these. It seemed like there's a whole bunch of we probably should just do a long discussion on Marvel, but
what that's never been done on the internet, Jeff. Nobody's ever talking about Marvel movies and their lack of consistency.
Here's a crazy idea. I don't know if anybody's ever done this before, but so going into the pandemic, we got the launch of Disney Plus, and then coming down on high from Disney Plus, they were like, "Give us as many shows as you can, Marvel, for the launch of Disney Plus, and now because there's a pandemic and people aren't going to go to the movies, so we need to fill this thing. And to me, it seems like that the Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige just decided they're like, okay, go nuts. We just need to produce a bunch of stuff. And according to Kevin Feige, they've always kind of sort of had a very loosey-goosey roadmap as to where they were going to go, but not really. They weren't necessarily planning movie by movie by movie by movie. And I think it's just because there's too many variables from one movie to the next, so they can't really do that kind of stuff. But they kind of have like an idea as to where they're going. So I think they were just like, go nuts, just as long as you kind of keep us on this roadmap. And then that's when everything fell apart for them, because then nobody was really watching what was going on. So I do like that they're trying to at least make some sense of some of the stuff that was just happening while, tying it back together.
I'm proud
to say I wouldn't mind if we swept Secret Wars under the rug.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, we got a new president now anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I will say I'm proud to say that we were one of the few channels on the internet that did not start an MCU rewatch as soon as the pandemic hit. We figured out other ways to keep making content, even though comics stopped and the world stopped. So, all right, enough bragging. Next up, Falcon's got a new suit. So, but it looks like we're gonna see. So, for those of us that watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which at the end became Captain America and the Winter Soldier, spoiler alert. He got this white suit that we see here in this fight, and I'll click play real quick to see it a little bit in action, right? But then in the fight with the Hulk, that I imagine that's what it is, we see this new suit that's a little bit more blue, maybe a new shield provided by the government, if that's what it looks like it's going to happen. I'm not sure. Let's see here. Yeah, so we see this new suit. What do you think of the Captain America suit when Sam's wearing it? Especially because it's got the wings, right? Obviously. Why did Steve never get wings? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't he want to fly?
Steve's just a man of the land. I like these suits. It does make me remember like growing up as a kid from the 80s and 90s when they would just like produce toys all the time. Like they've introduced, like everything was just a funnel to create toys.
Oh, look, my G.I. Joe's got a new gun. Oh, my G.I. Joe's got a cape now.
Yeah, they've introduced 12 new characters with no personalities, but they all look cool. So it does make me wonder if they're like every single movie they're like, we need a new suit because we gotta push these Marvel Legend toys and all these other things.
We all know Daniel needs another pop variant of Sam Wilson Captain America.
Right, exactly. I like the suit. I think it's cool. I think it's it's reminiscent of like Steve's after Steve stopped being Captain America, but he was still young Steve, and I think he was just known as like the Captain or something like that.
Yeah, even from Winter Soldier, he went a little darker, right? In that, like his suit was a little darker, more sleek. Sam seems to have kept more of the red flares for Captain America, and obviously the wings are, which we see one of the scenes like he goes kind of supersonic in it now, which I don't know if you should be doing that of an Iron Man suit. I feel like Iron Man can go.
As long as he's wearing goggles, he should be fine.
Well, he's wearing a helmet for sure. But do you think Sam took a little serum, something, since last time we saw?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he was. I mean, those wings were his from the get go because he was in Winter Soldier. He talks about how he those were his wings. So I think he's just the most adept at using them. He's the
human body.
I think he's got more in common with Carol Danvers than he does with Steve Rogers because he's a fly guy.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true. But I mean, I don't know if the human body is meant to go supersonic without.
That part I don't know, but
I mean, come on, these movies. Were you saying these movies are not like adhere to all the rules of science?
You know what? You're right. his head should have popped clean off.
Right. Yeah, right. His legs just fall out, just like disintegrate. Everything else is fine. His legs just kind of fell apart mid-flight.
Maybe they retconned him into being a mutant, and he's just like he's got like hollow bird bones or something.
That's how we fix everything. Make it a mutant.
Yeah, make everybody a mutant.
Nice. All right. Next thing, and kind of the last actual thing that we want to talk about in the actual trailer. There's a few lingering questions, but this is the last thing. So we see two characters coming back from the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. The first one, Joaquin Torres, who Sam left the old Falcon suit to. We do see a shot here. I love seeing the number go up of views in the video, in the actual trailer. Oh yeah, because 12 million is not enough. Hold on, let's roll it back another 1,000. But yeah, so Joaquin's got the suit now. We do see him flying around with Sam in another mission, in another different shot. But we also have Isaiah Bradley come back, who is the original Captain America, right? That we met in the Falcon Winter Soldier. If you haven't seen that series, it's not the best, but it introduces so many cool things about the Captain America lore. Like, I think it's worth the watch just for all the Isaiah Bradley stuff that happens.
Yeah. All that based off of the comic book Truth, the Marvel comic Truth.
We recently read for book club this year, right? Earlier this year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great comic.
Pretty fantastic stuff. So it's nice to have the characters back. Now, if I push play on the trailer real quick, we'll see that Isaiah Bradley does get up to shoot the president. So really cool to see that he still has a little bit of his powers,
his super soldier powers.
Yeah,
but it makes me like it makes me wonder if he's been like mind whatever, if he's being controlled somehow, or two, if this is not the thing where he's just like, if there's not like a little Bucky Barnes kind of.
Oh, like
something seeing the president or seeing Thunderbolt Ross or seeing something triggers him into being like, oh no, something terrible. Like he's like trying to stop the bad thing from happening early on.
Like he's been okay. So you think he's okay? So I thought you meant like he's been activated by something.
I mean, either or, like because it could be he could have been activated.
His
caption
started tingling when he saw the president.
Yeah, or his captain started tingling. Yeah.
Now we do see Sam take out. Oh, so here we see the shooting. Luckily, the government uses those nice those Stark projection screens that are bulletproof as well.
They weren't using holograms, thank goodness.
Look at that. Nobody gets shot like Harrison Ford, or nobody gets shot at like Harrison Ford. Look at that face. I want to see some behind the scenes of this scene because I want to know like how much of this is like really happening in front of Harrison Ford, or is he just really that good at selling like some gunshots?
He's Harrison. Get away with it.
But we do see Sam here. So right there, he just knocked out a Secret Service agent. What looks to be a Secret Service agent. So like, is he trying to protect Isaiah so he can get away, or is this guy also being mind controlled and he's part of the shenanigans?
Good questions. Good questions.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I don't get a lot of validation on the show.
We don't know. I mean, we're just gonna have to stay tuned.
Yeah, I guess so. If anybody wants to see where we're gonna be on Valentine's Day 2025, you can find us at the theater.
Here he is.
All right. Now, one of our questions is, we know because we are, well, I don't know if you know, but I listen to all the news of this stuff because I don't know, I don't have anything better to do. This is all from reshoot. Giancarlo Esposito came in for around the reshoots and his characters being kind of woven into this film. I don't think he's going to be the main antagonist, but he's definitely going to be causing some of the havoc. What do you think? What do you think his role is? Do you have any ideas as to who he could be playing?
I did not know that he was part of the reshoots.
Okay,
that's interesting to me. That does give me a little bit of trepidation about the movie because it seems like they're just tagging on this whole thing at the end.
Yeah.
I also know that there's a lot of, I guess, controversy about Sabra being in the movie. But I think that's
Which I
kind of,
believe they've changed a lot of Sabra's background story because of that. So,
yeah.
um,
Um, I've heard the rumors that he is playing George Washington Bridge, who is actually more of a X-Men related character than anything else.
yes,
Uh,
yes. I was
which
just gonna
also
pull
makes me wonder if this is not again them setting up a little bit of X-Men stuff. Maybe not. I mean, at least mutant stuff in the MCU.
I
Um,
I heard somebody say like, so this is GW Bridge, who you just mentioned.
mhm.
I've heard somebody say he could also be a version of the Bushmaster, and then maybe he can roll into a Moon Knight type of thing later on. Uh,
Mhm.
I don't know how that character. I don't know how viable that character is now. Without probably making some updates.
I mean, he could be because isn't Diamondback supposed to be in this movie? I saw that you had mentioned that the Serpent Society. Uh,
Yes, yes. So that's
so
the other lingering question. Where is my boy Seth Rollins? I'm not gonna lie. I was looking in the trailer. I kept looking in the trailer for a
I
Seth
forgot that
Rollins.
Seth Rollins was in this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I remember him when he was written off TV for a little while. So this is the Bushman. He's a really, I think he's overall a Moon Knight character. Um, oh,
Yeah.
this article, I found an article from Slash Film, and they have him also could be Jacob Fury from Scorpio
Okay.
or Moses Magnum, who I have no idea who it
That name
is.
sounds familiar.
Let's see. Who is, I don't know Moses Magnum. So I think he's got to do with the Hulk, maybe. Whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Slash, if you want to go check that out, it's the Slash Film article about
Mhm.
who he could be. But yeah, I mean, I love Giancarlo Esposito. I watch a lot of TikToks with him on his Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul scenes.
And all of those characters are I mean, we're just looking at the characters maybe because we're basic, but like just black characters that are black characters in the comics.
Yeah,
Marvel's not afraid to recast on right. So this
that's
could be
true.
anybody, honestly. Um
We are
but I
cowards. I agree.
we are coward. This could be Reed Richards. Um
Or
from an
Doctor
alternate
Doom.
universe.
Doctor
Or
Doom just
Doctor
doing some
Doom.
legwork.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
Xavier.
That this is their
Xavier
Xavier.
before he took that bullet in Cuba.
He's and then this makes Harrison Ford secretly Magneto.
That's
Um
right. I like where
yeah,
we're going.
we've cracked your code, Marvel.
That's right. You heard it here first. Magneto and Xavier cast in the MCU.
He
Backdoor
could be
piloted
like
in.
he could be like some kind of amalgamation of like the leader of the Serpent Society or something like that. Just a
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
a created character. Um
If we see the Serpent Society, do you think they'll have I feel like letting Seth Rollins do a pedigree on screen would be too much, but he could definitely stomp somebody, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, definitely.
that'd be a more subtle because
It
I love
feels
the
like it could be a real in fight move,
yeah, it
kind of
feels
like
like
a
a
real
yeah, as
world in
opposed to
fight.
a pedigree's like,
Yeah.
maybe that doesn't fly. Um,
Like when the rock bottomed who was it? Jason Statham in one of the Fast and Furious movies or
or
something.
even in Walking Tall when he goes into the bar, he does all his moves like
Oh,
other than people's elbow, he doesn't drop a people's elbow. But he definitely like rock bottom some bouncer in the so. Um, all right, Jeff, do you have any other things that you had on the Captain America trailer?
Since we brought him up, there's a part of me that because the trailer feels like such a political thriller, I'm not sure. I don't know where the Serpent Society fits into that because they are in the comics. They're really silly. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a the Serpent Society is a gang of villains based on snakes. So they're all named after different Very
Think the
snakes.
Demolition Crew, but with snakes.
Yeah, yeah. And so, and some of them have powers. Most of them have some kind of power. In the so Rachel Layton is the character's name of Diamondback, uh, who in the comics was in a kind of situationship with Steve Rogers back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Situationship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which was because Mark Grunwald was writing Captain America at the time. Yeah, here they are, the Serpent
Look at
Society.
that. Which one says Rollins, you think?
God, which one could be Seth Rollins?
I think this one. Oh, well, this one or this one, I feel.
So the guy that looks like Serpentor, the one on the far bottom right,
This one?
with the green thing on his head. Yeah, so I'm like, what if Giancarlo
Carlo?
Esposito is that guy, but
Like
just like
that trench coat he has on has an actual hood that goes up a little bit, and
yeah,
obviously it
yeah.
doesn't, like, it's not a full snake headpiece anymore, but Marvel loves to do stuff like that. It's kind of like a subtle callback to the comics too, right?
Yeah, he's just like a real version
What do you
that
think they're
kind of
voting on
character.
here?
I think this is I'm sure I have this comic. I think they are voting to kick out
The
Diamondback.
leader, because he doesn't have a thumb.
Yeah, or the leader. Yeah, something is happening.
Yeah, I think they're voting this guy
is
out because he's the only one not doing thumbs up or down.
yeah.
Did you see the demotion pass? I don't know which way they're voting. So these are all down. So it's
go.
1, 2,
No.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 5 up. So maybe it didn't pass. The motion did not carry.
Pass. He got kicked out.
Oh, yeah, that's we have Robert's Rules of Order for a reason. Cool.
So I said, aside from George Washington Bridge, I think that's my second number one guess, is that he's actually that. I can't remember that character's name.
Society.
Yeah,
like maybe they were saving
the
the leader of the Serpent Society for a larger role, but they're like, let's just bring him in. Like, let's just put him in the movie.
Let's just put him in the movie. Marvel likes to occasionally waste really good actors on tiny little parts.
They love it. It's like their favorite pastime. Like, hey, let's bring in this amazing person that could be a great character. All right, we can end with this.
In a one-off movie.
Woo! I love when a Hulk handles a shield. It's great because they give very little F's about it. Kind of like when Rogue.
Would it annoy you more as Captain America to have your shield thrown, a la Rogue in X-Men '97, or smashed halfway into the concrete just like that?
I think thrown, because this feels like, I'm still pretty strong. I could probably pull it out, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about Sam, but Steve could probably still pull it out. Sam might have to get like a construction crew or something to like. I love to see the aftermath, just like some dude from Damage Controls out there with a jackhammer,
just try to get the shield out.
Or they're like, sorry, sir, this isn't union work, but you can borrow a jackhammer. So like Sam has to do it.
But whereas the other, you have to go and actually look for it. If you don't have a mode of transportation, you're definitely walking.
Yeah, like I bet Steve from X-Men '97 is still looking for the shield, because who knows where the hell she threw it.
Yeah,
she just threw it at a mountain, and it's not like you can track it. I mean, I don't think that Steve has a tracker on it.
He needs to add like one of those little Apple things onto it.
He's like, he has to call Riri, like, Riri, I need the vibranium detector again, please. Rogue got into
my shield into the mountain.
I supported a fascist government for a minute, and Rogue did not like that. So all right.
I'm very excited for this movie. This feels like this is their first thing after Deadpool? I mean, Agatha. When does
Agatha is in September of this year.
In September of this year.
But I think it's the last thing we see until this film. So
okay. So I'm wondering if this is the first thing to come out.
Yeah.
after the first thing that, because Kevin, I mean, at some point they did come out. I don't remember when this was, and they were like, "You're right. Everybody's right. We've been pushing too hard. We're
Not
gonna pull
me.
back a little bit, and they're gonna, really focus in on trying to make things work correctly going forward." So I wonder if this is that first movie where they've kind of been like, let's just, peel back the fluff and get to the basic kind of things.
Not this guy. I buy comics once a week. There is no such thing as too many movies, sir. I tell you that. As somebody, especially as somebody that's covering 90% of that stuff on the channel, like, yeah, maybe I don't have free time, but I'm having a good time for the most part, except with never mind. I won't talk about the Acolyte. All right.
I think it's pretty noble that you're also watching those Crisis on Infinite Earth movies, because those are bad.
That is my Barry Allen moment. I beg. Because oh boy,
I saw an ad that the third one's about to come out in like one of this week's comics
for free.
I'm just like, who's watching them? Well, who are these for? Like,
they might as well just drop them for free because ain't nobody gonna buy that.
Yeah, I don't understand.
But I'm pot committed. I've already watched 2 of the 3, so
you're halfway there.
that's right.
You might as well see how it ends.
The problem is I know how it ends, Jeff.
That's true. You don't even get satisfaction of that. You're just watching a story that we all know being told very poorly and boring.
Extremely poorly. All right. All right. Well, that's been our Captain America Brave New World talk for now. I'm sure we'll have more. Surprised they didn't save this for Comic-Con because Comic-Con is right around the corner, and we know that.
Again, I think their hand was forced. My guess is that they either would have done this for Comic-Con or with Deadpool in a couple of weeks.
But how was their hand forced? What were like? We already knew about the Red Hulk from McDonald's.
I think that they're just.
Was there a
So
leak?
I think as soon as the McDonald's thing happened, they were like, get something together, and this was like the earliest thing that they could put it together.
The other funny part is that like we got 2 things. We got Agatha and this like in the same week when they haven't really talked about anything else for a while. So it really felt like a lot. So, but I mean, I am here for it. It's really nice when I don't have anything going on for the channel. Like I don't know what I'm gonna do for the day. And Disney or like Marvel or Star Wars or DC is like, oh, here you go. Here's at least one video you can have for the day. So.
And Marvel has a Hall H panel this year, I think, at Comic-Con.
And there's D23 happening as well this year, I believe, because it's 1 year off, 1 year on. So like, there's definitely a D23. So like, I can't wait to see. Like,
they've started filming Thunderbolts.
Yes, Thunderbolts should be pretty close to being done.
Have they started Fantastic Four yet?
No.
Okay.
I'm a little.
I don't know what else they're working on.
I'm a little sad that James Gunn's not going to be at Comic-Con, and maybe we'll do like a full Comic-Con show later on. But James Gunn's not going to be there because he's busy filming Superman. So hopefully they send us like a little like, hi from the Superman team. Here's a little, some sizzle reels or whatever.
Yeah.
Just to show me what
does DC have a panel this year at all?
I think,
or are they doing their thing?
I think Warner Brothers is going, but I don't know how much of it will be dedicated to the DC stuff.
Okay.
Warner Brothers is definitely going because they always go, right?
Yeah.
Except for that 1 year where none of the studios went.
Yeah.
Remember DC Fandom?
I feel like they had one. Yeah.
I
wonder if they're going to do that again someday.
Just had me glued on my chair for 8 hours watching them on the YouTube channel. I believe 1 year I did the watch along with the whole thing. That was great.
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, that's our Captain America Comic-Con talk. That took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. So, nice. All right. Next up, we're going to do a couple of comic reviews. I think we're going to be talking about a few things. But the first one we're going to talk about, thanks to our friends over at IDW, is going to be something that I wish Josh was here for, because he's the big nerd about this. Although, I don't know, Jeff, how do you feel about The Rocketeer?
I really enjoy The Rocketeer. I was a big fan of the movie. That was my first exposure. I mean, like I knew of the Rocketeer as a comic book property,
Yeah.
but I never really read the Rocketeer until just recently. But I love the movie. I've read the
We right before you, maybe a few months before you hopped on the first time, we had done a Rocketeer movie watch along, or not a watch along, just like a movie discussion, because I had never seen it.
Oh yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun. I love
Yeah, it's
seeing John Locke from Lost as Howard Hughes. That's pretty fun. And
the crazy
yeah.
thing about the Rocketeer is it's created Dan Stevens. I don't remember. Dave Stevens is the creator.
Yes.
Created him in the I think the 80s, but he did such a good job of making him feel like a pulp character. In my
Oh yeah.
brain, this guy's been around since the 40s, even though he hasn't.
It definitely feels
And the
like this
fact,
came right after Detective Comics or something, right?
yeah. So as I was flipping through this, his girlfriend is based on Betty Page. I don't know if she actually has a name. Like her name is Betty in the comic, but I tried to look this up in a hurry. I didn't spend very long on it, but I
She doesn't
couldn't
have a
find the last
surname.
name for Betty in the comics. But yeah, all of that just goes to me like firmly believing that this is like an old school 1940s pulp hero, which I think is what is kind of charming about the character. Is that there's not a lot of superheroes in this world. It's just him, and
Yeah.
he's kind of like this super
I
Marvel that people kind of like are like, "Ooh, it's this guy."
follow me here. I hope this makes sense. I equate the creation of this character and by Dan Stevens as kind of like when Quentin Tarantino makes a film that it's gonna feel like super authentic to whatever he's trying to do, just because he's such a fan of that thing, right? I feel like
Yeah,
this creator was such a fan of those pulp comics from back in the day that's why it feels like it just feels authentic and like it really
yeah,
works.
totally.
Okay, well,
This book is great. Yeah.
so let's talk about let's talk about the creative team real quick. Uh, so the Rocketeer breaks free #1 and from IDW by Dave Stevens. I don't know why I kept saying Dan Stevens because of the actor
Yeah, I
from
do the
Mutant.
same thing in my brain. I'm like, it's something.
Different people though, different people. Maybe not. Maybe the same person. I don't know. But this comic itself is got a story by Stephen Mooney, who I believe has been doing the Rocketeer for a little while now, with art
Mhm.
by Stas Johnson, colors by Len O'Grady and Marco Lesko. You can see here the page breakout, and letters by Sean Lee, who pretty much letters everything over at IDW, if I'm not mistaken. Um, this is a new series premiere. I believe this is a mini series. In this series, the Rocketeer storms the city by the bay. That's San Francisco, for those of you not paying attention to the cover. With Betty about to start work on a new film, Cliff and Peavy join aspiring starlet on a trip to San Francisco where they liaise with a fellow pilot and friend and government operative, Devi Seville. I don't know why that's in parentheses. Maybe it's supposed to be a secret from them. As always, trouble seems to follow Cliff, who gets caught up in a cable car accident, but at least it'll be smooth sailing after that, right? Not if the Rocketeer's luck stays true to form. This is going to be a 4-issue miniseries. So, Jeff, what did you think of the Rocketeer breaks free?
I really enjoyed it. So it looks like this picks up after the last little mini series. I think the last three have kind of been their
Follow-ups?
own stories, but they all kind of lead into the next one. Not that there's an overarching story; that's just the next chapter kind of thing.
Yeah, the Rocketeer, the Great Race, I believe was the last one.
Mm-hmm. So in the last book, which I did read, he kind of promises Betty that he's going to try to give up being the Rocketeer just so they can focus on their lives. And that's kind of where this one picks up, where he's still kind of the Rocketeer behind her back a little bit. But they're trying to it takes place over during Thanksgiving time, which would have been fun, I guess, if they had released this a little bit later. But comics are done when they're done.
I mean, maybe the fourth one might come out by Thanksgiving. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Or the trade.
So or the trade. Yeah, they're always publishing. They're pushing for the trade. Yeah, so they go to the friends to visit for Thanksgiving, and things just the way superhero things happen, and he's got to go off and be the Rocketeer again. But yeah, it's really fun. It's just good old fashioned actiony pulp comics is what this is.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it begins like that. I mean, you can see here from the first sequence,
Mhm.
the Rocketeer, he went into some kind of gangster hideout to take all their guns, take out their operations, whatever. Like that's usually the story, right? The hero is trying to break up some kind of criminal empire, because in these pulp stories, it's not really about. There's a few things that get a little bit more sci-fi or more supernatural, but like the
Mhm.
pulp of it all really is like just crime stories.
Yeah, it's
And,
usually good guys versus bad guys. That's all there
that's
is
right.
to it.
And I love this, like the Rocketeers being pinned down by like 10 dudes or something, and of course they don't know how the rocket works, so they let him keep his hand free. You can see that here in the panel, which I love the
Mhm.
attention to detail here, right? Yeah, we got him clipped down. Well, that's not how the rocket works, you dumb. Yeah. So man, I was about to go off on that guy, like, you idiot. That's not how the rocket works at all. So he's able, and I love that. That's how you introduce it, right? He breaks free, literally, and then also in the story. So
As I was reading this, I would be like, I would definitely carry around knives if I were the Rocketeer.
yeah,
Like I
something,
would
or a shield,
something,
or
yeah,
definitely a
something
shield.
that's
This feels like he just flies into bullets a lot.
yeah, something. Well, I also feel like he could like swoop down and cut stuff,
Yeah.
with a knife kind of thing.
Your
Uh,
Rocketeer sounds a lot more savage than the Pulp
he's a
comics.
little bit more savage. I was because yeah, he doesn't do. I mean, sometimes he has a gun with him,
The
but
Savage Rocketeer. That's going to be Jeff's first debut into comics.
we need a dark Rocketeer. Yeah,
Oh,
but
let
yeah,
me see that
this
Zack
is
Snyder
just
Rocketeer movie.
hmm can't wait.
Oh, dude, he would take forever to take off in the slow mo.
You would see like the rocket would ignite and little pebbles on the ground would start bouncing up and
Like
down.
that Superman sequence where he first learns
Yeah.
to fly, and then for some reason there's a flashback to the Rocketeer's parents dying, even though that's not the story.
Yeah. There's all this like black and white footage of birds taking off for the first time, stuff like
I
that.
will
Just
say
intercut.
the color palette that Zack Snyder prefers definitely fits the Rocketeer aesthetic a lot better too. Because
Yeah,
it's
it
like
has a
that graded down, darker colors, which
kind
would
of
make this feel
tinty.
very puppy. Damn, now I talked myself into a Zack Snyder Rocketeer movie. But all right, let's keep talking about Breaks Free.
Now Josh is really gonna be upset that he wasn't here.
Yeah, I hate this part of the episode.
The other good thing that the Rocketeer comics have is that they're really character based. There's not a
Mhm.
lot of action that happens. There's enough to get you through an action comic.
Yeah.
But it's really about this one definitely focuses on the relationship between Cliff, who is the Rocketeer, and Betty, his girlfriend.
Who's
Honestly, it
pretty
kind of
upset.
reminds me of
She's upset, but she
early.
understands, right?
It kind of reminds me of Peter and MJ.
Yeah.
Honestly. So
Yeah.
it gives that kind of vibes.
Yep. I like this. I like the premise. I like that they it's all about kind of going on vacation.
Hmm.
I think, was there a little cartoon that the Rocketeer did recently? Maybe it was another pulp character. I feel like they just released something animated that kind of feels like this. Maybe it was DC doing some pulpy stuff. But yeah, I like it. I like that. I want to know more about their friend who's a government agent.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't know that going into this. I just figured she was a friend of Betty's. Um, so that adds a neat layer now that I read the synopsis.
I wonder if this is technically a Disney property because they own the movie rights, I believe, to
Yeah, they have a
Rocketeer.
series on Disney Plus that's very different. That's more of a kids thing, but
Oh,
it
that
is.
did come out. Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
look that up.
yeah. So you're right. It may be, maybe IDW still has the comic rights, but or who knows? They could be licensed out to different things depending on the medium.
Yeah.
Um, so Nice. All right, Jeff. Anything else you want to say? Do you like the look of the Rocketeer in this book? I think Johnson does a really good job.
Yeah,
Just giving
the artwork's great. I mean, it's classic Rocketeer look. They've never changed his look really.
The Rocketeer
Yeah.
really is one of those things that if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Like there's no need to change his aesthetic.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch that design at all. I wouldn't change the helmet. No, it's just too, for a character that's not like super well known. I still think it's too iconic to mess with.
Right. Nice. Okay. Well, thanks again to IDW for sending this out. We'll keep trucking along, even if we don't talk about this weekly or monthly. We'll probably, I'm sure Josh will eventually read this because he like I said, he also really enjoys the Rocketeer. So maybe we'll do like a full, maybe when the miniseries is out or the trade, maybe we'll revisit this on the show.
And the Rocketeers are like, the comics are good, solid comics. Like they're good, solid. Like they're not gonna blow your mind or anything like that. But they're like, I mean, they're better than
they're
like
entertaining. They're fun. And you
they
never
don't drag.
I don't think I've ever read a Rocketeer comic and then I'm like, this was kind of a waste of time. Like I always get something out of it, or like I said, learn a little bit more about the lore or revisit something that I really enjoyed. So
yeah.
And go watch the movie. It's pretty fun. It should be on Disney Plus too.
Honestly, I think the only thing that keeps the Rocketeer from like really blowing through is he doesn't have like a large or well-known like villains gallery. I feel like if you were to give him like Dick Tracy villains where they're like super cartoony or whatever, like gangbusters.
Now I really want that crossover.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa, and they both have comics now. I think the Dick Tracy series is pretty insane over at I want to say Mad Cave. But I'm not sure.
We did read that first.
We did read that first issue.
It's pretty nuts.
Pretty wild.
Dark Dick Tracy.
Nice. Okay. Well, to close this part out, some Rocketeer covers. Very nice. There's not a lot. I would have thought there'd be a little bit more variant covers, but that's all we have. So, all right. Now that I've give me do a quick timestamp. There we go. We do have another comic review, kind of comic review. Our friends over at IDW once again sent us. So I got this email yesterday or the day before, and it said, I think it was Thursday. I think it was Thursday because I immediately told you guys about it. And it said,
I'm a prince from an African nation, and I need your help.
That's right. So I send them $10,000, and they sent back a link with TMNT number 1. What?
Whoa.
So this won't be out for a couple of weeks, and we won't go too deep into any big spoilers. I don't want to ruin this for anybody that's trying to get into this new Turtles run. But I did want to talk to Jeff about it. I want to talk to the guys about it. Unfortunately, they are all stuck in different federal prisons. But yeah. Before we get into this, Jeff, have you been reading Turtle comics in the past?
The only Turtles I've ever read are the very first 5 or 6 issues.
Classic.
A trade of that super classic stuff. And then I picked up the free comic book day comic that they had. They had a one shot that they put out, and then this. I read
the Alpha thing with Donatello.
The Alpha thing, yeah. So the Alpha thing kind of kicks off this Jason Aaron.
Yes.
So Jason Aaron has taken over the main Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic. And again, they put out the free comic book day, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Alpha, and then
you want to give us a little background on the free comic book day? Like, what was that kind of about? If you remember, because I'm not a lot of people. Sometimes people don't have access to that stuff, and if you don't remember, that's fine. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
I'm trying to remember. Is that the one that? So which one had Donatello? That's the one I remember.
Donatello was the Alpha issue, which I don't think we talked about it on stream, but we do have a video on the channel if anybody wants to go check that out.
Okay. That's the one I definitely remember.
Okay.
So in the
So
alpha issue, yeah, we pick up with Donatello. So I guess
okay,
the thing about this is that where each story, each comic, so the first 4 issues are going to individually deal with each turtle individually. They are not
correct,
together in this at all.
correct. So
They have split up.
let me give you a little bit of a synopsis on this one, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some high level thoughts on this. So, uh, TMNT number one is written by Jason Aaron with art by Joel Jones, which I'll talk about in a second because I love her work. With colors by Rhonda Pattinson and letters by Sean Lee, because as I mentioned, if you watched our Rocketeer stuff, or if you were here 5 minutes ago, Sean Lee letters pretty much everything over at AW. New series premiere, new jumping on point. That's a big selling point for this, I think. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles have all left New York to pursue their own interests, but there are forces gathering that will pull them back together, whether the bad guys like it or not. First up, we have Raphael. But why is everyone's favorite brawler in prison? When a surprise attack behind bars puts Raph's position in jeopardy, he needs to figure out how to get out of jail to warn his brothers that trouble is coming. Superstar writer Jason Aaron, who's done things like The Mighty Thor or Batman Off-World, teams up with Joel Jones, who's worked on comics like Lady Killer or Catwoman, for the first issue of the new TMNT series that will start a bold new era, celebrating TMNT's 40th anniversary while setting them up for 40 next years to come. Um, that's a lot of information thrown out there, but let's talk about the creative team first a little bit. I think we probably talked about Jason Aaron a lot. As far as that creator, that's somebody that we both read plenty of. Um,
I didn't realize this was Joel Jones artwork until about midway through,
yeah,
because I'm not used to seeing Joel Jones artwork without any beautiful women
that's
killing
true.
people or stealing anything or whatever. Um, yeah, so I was like, I've never seen her draw a turtle before.
Like, why is
uh,
Ralph so hot? I don't understand.
yeah, what's going on? Uh, yeah, I really I love Joelle Jones's artwork. I don't
Mhm.
even think it had any of her signature like ink splotches or anything in it.
No, or like those like I feel like sometimes she does these little thicker lines in some of the characters. But
Yeah,
I feel like that's more reserved for, like you mentioned, some of the more heisty kind of comics. This one is not that. This one's more of a prison break, maybe I want to call it, just from the synopsis.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so that's very interesting. What do you think? I mean, starting with Raphael, uh, it's an interesting choice because I feel like that's going to be the most action-packed of the bunch.
Yeah.
Um, compared to other turtles. Maybe Mikey's or Leonardo's is going to be. I feel like Leonardo's is going to be more introspective. Uh,
He's probably crocheting somewhere.
yeah, we've already seen a little bit of what Donatello's doing in the Alpha issue in that mutant animal fight club.
I mean, Donatello's not that much different than what Raphael is doing, honestly.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I
I think it's interesting they split them up. I mean, it's a good storytelling kind of way to be like, a reintroduction to all of these characters. I don't know. I didn't. So without having, I know that there was a big lead up in the last series
mhm,
that ended, and there was a big to do, but I didn't read any of that stuff. So I
right.
don't know if this is just like we pick up months later and there's something that they're going to fill us in as to why they've
Yeah.
split up, or if they ended up splitting up at the end of the last
Do you,
series.
do you feel this was a good jumping on point for somebody that has really, you know, like never or almost hasn't read any of the turtles? Like you
Uh,
know who the turtles are because you probably saw a movie or something, but you've
yeah,
never read the
yeah, it's
comics.
pretty. Yeah, if you, yeah, it's definitely a good jumping on point. You kind of have to suspend, use your
Mhm.
if they were not turtles and you were just picking this up and it's just some bruiser guy that's in jail and he's kind of giving you all the exact same information, you're just going along with it. I think because it's the turtles, you kind of feel like you're maybe missing out on something, but I don't think that's the
Yeah,
case. I think that's that all the thing that you're missing out on are going to be filled in with the later issues. It's just the
I
storytelling.
I don't think I ever would have thought about comparing a Ninja Turtle story to Shawshank Redemption. But here we are.
Yeah, but here we are. Yeah.
Right? Like,
this is
it's
this is the
crazy.
Shawshank of the
The
Turtles universe.
Shawshank Ninja Turtles. It's pretty wild, but I mean that's kind of the fun about getting into a Jason Aaron book that you
I don't
really
think I can
don't
handle
know.
the outside, Raphael.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild. I agree with you. I feel like this is a fun jumping on point. I think
Yeah.
if you're a new comic reader, you might struggle a little bit with like figuring out. But the beauty is that I'm telling you now, it doesn't matter. Like whatever you think you're missing out on, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like you can go back and read it later on if you feel that's something you need to do. And I would encourage you to, because there's a lot of. So I've read some of the. I think Ninja Turtles rebooted in 2012 with Tom Waltz, and that Tom Waltz has been kind of a steady hand guiding everything since then to now. And then you also have stuff like The Last Ronin and the crossovers with Usagi Yojimbo. So like there's a and or the if you like the Saturday morning cartoons, there's a Saturday morning cartoons version of the Turtles that comes out every once in a while.
Turtles in
to
Time.
give you a different feel. I wouldn't be surprised if you do yeah.
There's that Oprah episode.
That's right, where Mikey keeps jumping on the couch.
Yeah.
He's so happy. She got him a pizza.
Have you seen that Oprah? Have you seen the Oprah when they are
No,
Oprahs?
I was just ending.
There is an actual episode of early Oprah. This is back when the Turtles were doing their musical tour.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So post the second movie, I think it's the second movie. This is back when touring children's show, like live action children's show, were a big thing in America. So they had 4 people dress up as Ninja Turtles and do a rock concert that traveled around the country. And then they went on Oprah's show for a little bit, for like one episode, where Oprah awkwardly asked them if intimated that they have sex with April.
Well, Jeff, thanks to the magic of the internet, we don't have to just wonder about this clip.
I'm glad you were doing some research while I was vamping. So let's take a look at this.
I want to say great producer. So let me put this here.
Yeah.
And let me make sure that it's audible. Give me a second. Oh, where's the? Oh, hold on. Too many windows.
Look at. I love that there's just a bunch of kids in the audience.
Well, they knew it was a turtle show, right? Oprah knows her audience.
That blazer is looking good.
It looks like it's unmuted.
Shoulder pads.
Look at that.
Sometimes wish that April was a turtle.
Whoa, definitely.
Conceptually, that works for me.
You know, I've been trying
Where you going?
Oprah.
Man, I cracked myself up.
Oprah, I've been trying to talk her into an interspecies relationships for months now.
Whoa, chill, man.
And she won't do it.
She can't hold her breath.
No, she can't do it.
The biggest problem is she can't hold her breath long enough, you know?
Well, okay, coming up, the Turtles are going to perform their hit. Did you want to say something? I just wanted to say that the one thing about the Turtles, being a reporter, it's hard for me not to analyze. And the good thing about these guys.
Oh my God.
That one kid's face, classic.
Well, I hope IDW appreciates all this in the video.
And now we know why Raph is in jail.
That was fantastic. Yeah, now we know. I feel like, I mean, you can't blame them. They're teenagers. What else are they going to talk about?
What if secretly this is what Jason Aaron's run is about? Just this episode of Oprah.
It's all based on this Oprah episode.
It's all based on this Oprah episode.
I kind of want to go see the full interview now, but I'll have to do that on my own time.
You can watch that this week and then report to us next week about the full.
Yes. We might do a more full in-depth review of the first issue. Maybe next week if all the guys are back, I'll just have them read it too.
Mm-hmm.
So stay tuned for that. But I do have.
I will just the tiniest little, not even spoiler that I enjoy is that because the thing mentions that Raphael is in prison.
Yes.
but he still has the mask on in prison, which I thought was good because now we know which one he is. So, had he not had
How
that
else would
mask
I know?
on, how else
Look,
would
I
we
don't want to
know?
say all turtles look the same, but
Ugh.
all right. We do have some cool covers. There's no interior art yet. I'm sure we'll get some for next week. But we do have some cool covers. Peach Momoko. Ooh, I don't remember who the
That's
second
cool.
one is by. And the signature's right there, and I can't read it. But we also do have a Sean Murphy cover here. So
Is that Joelle
yeah.
Jones, the second one?
I don't think so. No, that doesn't look like her signature because there's an R in the name.
Oh,
I think Joelle Jones might be the main cover that I showed earlier. Maybe.
maybe she's the main cover.
Maybe we'll see. But like Jeff mentioned, no, this is not. This is Raphael Albuquerque. So, yeah, but like Jeff mentioned, each of the issues will be about one specific turtle. So stay tuned for that. Now, I believe that this issue will come out on July 24th, I believe. So thanks to the IDW for sending us this a little early to check out. And then the next issue might take a little while. I think it's not coming out till September, so you'll have plenty of time to catch up on the turtles. But I'm definitely very excited about it. So thanks again to IDW, and I hope you guys enjoy the turtles going forward. So, all right,
Go Turtles.
Because I'll clip out the video for that too. Cool. All right, Jeff. Now let's give the people what they came to see. And that is us talking about how we bought the same comic books pretty much this whole week.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't know if from last week, whoever wasn't watching, I was just like, oh yeah, I don't make a list anymore. I just put comics for the week and then look at Jeff's list.
They're pretty such thing.
So
yeah, let me grab them here.
What do you got? What do you got?
I've added a couple of things. Well, let's see. I read Batman and Robin number 11.
Oh, I'm behind on that one.
They're on Dinosaur Island with the dinosaurs.
The amount of comics that have featured dinosaurs over the past 2 weeks is too high. Not too high that I'm complaining. I'm just saying that it's a lot.
It is a lot, but I don't think you can ever have that many. I think if they were just a straight up all dinosaurs everywhere all the time, I'm okay with it. Yeah, they're on Dinosaur Island they're trying to hunt down Bane. There is some reference to some of the stuff that happened during, I guess, Joker War, and I did not Bane killing.
Bane is the one that Alfred.
Yeah,
so
they definitely reference that in this book. I like that this basically is a low key, I guess, kind of sequel to the Robin miniseries, where Robin went to Lazarus Island to be in that big Fight Club thing because he keeps running. Because the last story arc, he ran into his kind of girlfriend that he met on the island. I can't remember her name. And then in this issue, we get somebody from that island popping up. So I think this is just kind of like a backdoor sequel to that Robin, but it just has Batman along with them. It's just a real fun, easygoing comic, adventure Batman comic with Robin that doesn't. So I feel like Detective, which I don't read anymore, is definitely the Detective Batman comic where he's Batman solving crimes. Batman is the Chip Zdarsky Batman is the one that's really digs deep into Batman's psyche, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on in that one. But this one is just the fun superhero actiony Batman one. Like if you don't want any of the psychological trauma or anything like that, this is the book you need to read.
It's just about two boys living in a brownstone.
That's right, fighting crime. I also got a chance to read the Ultimates number 2.
Ooh. What'd you think?
I'm enjoying it. Ultimate Spider-Man, some of my favorite Ultimate title. I feel like this one is the one that's playing the most with the concept of what the Ultimate Universe is. I
like There's some subtle political commentary in this one.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little bit.
Just subtle. But it's really cool. I like Dennis Camp. I like what he's doing. I like all these little panels, like when they're the flashbacks in history.
Mm-hmm. I like that haircut that the Punisher has. That kind of
Yeah,
shag dude.
really Vietnam era Punisher.
Yeah. We've got Action Comics. What is this? 1067.
1067. Yep.
Yeah. We got a new. I like that this one is also not connected to like this is their like anthology comic, so it's not connected to. It has nothing to do what's going on with the Amanda Waller thing or anything like that. This is just a old Superman story that takes place in the past, written by Gail Simone. So it's got that Gail Simone feel. But I'm more intrigued by the backup story, honestly, by Rainbow Rowell. I love Rainbow Rowell stuff. Like anything that she writes, she's like climbed the ladder for me. So I'm on board with any time Rainbow Rowell's writing a comic. This is that Rainbow Rowell. So it's a Lois centric story. The backup story. Lois has taken over as editor-in-chief at the Daily Planet. Perry White has left to go run for mayor of Metropolis. And it's kind of Lois trying to figure out what kind of editor-in-chief she wants to be is what this story is about. And I want a Lois-centric story. I wish there were a Lois comic. When Brian Bendis took over Superman, I was low-key hoping that he would somehow backdoor a Lois Lane comic book into this thing. And it never happened because Lois is just like such a strong, driven female character.
Yeah. They did spin off that Greg Rucka 12-issue Lois series. But
that's not what I wanted.
That's not what you're describing at all. It was, I think it was still good. It was definitely not what you're describing.
I wanted a fast talking his girl Friday kind of back and forth, what you got going on, Smallville, kind of like Lois Lane. And so I feel like this was just kind of what that is.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I've been wanting. And the artwork is great all around. The artwork for the Gail Simone part, Barrows, I don't know who this guy is.
Eddie Barrows. Yeah, it's definitely very house style, very old school class. Like it fits with the tone of the story. I'm just more of a fan of the more contemporary look with the Rainbow Rowell story.
Yeah, same. The Barrow stuff, it reminds me of Rags Morales. If Rags Morales and Mike Deodato Jr. had a kid, art-wise, that would be this artwork.
I can see that.
I also read Falling in Love on the Path to Hell #2. This is by Rick Remender. Oh, no, this is by Jerry Duggan and other people. I'm trying to find the full credits page.
Yeah, no, that won't make it easy for you. Put it right in the beginning. That's silly.
Yeah. Anyway, so these are I apologize, I have a thing in my mouth because my throat's a little itchy from earlier this week. Anyway, it's about people who have died who are kind of on Purgatory Island, I guess. And they're all people who have died in combat. So one is like an old Western gunslinger. The girl is like a samurai. There's like a Native American guy. Anyway, it's sort of like end after end. I don't know if you've ever read that comic, but they're kind of in purgatory and they just have to fight to keep the demons from whatever. There's going to be a romance at some point in the comic. We haven't gotten there yet because
I hope so. It's called Falling in Love.
Yeah, nobody has fallen in love on the path to hell yet, so there's still a lot of story to go. But it's pretty intriguing. The artwork's pretty good. Nice. I did pick up. This is the Scott Koblish X-Men #1 cover. And I don't know if he did another cover because there's some definite people missing on this cover. I mean, there's a lot of X-Men in the world, but I don't see Kitty Pryde. Cover? I wonder because there's no Kitty Pryde that I've been able to see. So I picked up this one and I picked up the negative.
Yeah, that one's cool, but yeah. I had to pick, and I was like, well, I can get Peach, Momoko, Magic, and Psylocke on the same cover. And, of course, Ryan Stegman. I mean, I'm not going to not pick up the Ryan Stegman one.
What did you think of this comic?
I think it's a lot of fun. It's a jarring change in tone from the Krakoa stuff for sure. Where you're like, are these the same characters? I don't know. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. This is supposed to be. It says X months later. I don't know if that just means 10 months later or like a determined amount of months later, so they can play around with the timeline. I like the dynamic of the team. I think Magic and the Juggernaut are a lot of fun together. I think Quentin Quire is the perfect person to team up with Cyclops because he like calls him out on his shit.
Yeah.
We're an hour and 30 minutes into this. I can finally start cussing up Storm. Yeah, and I like the idea that somehow Magneto's on the team, and I don't know why.
It always confuses me when they call him Max, though.
Yeah, what's his name? Eric, Maximus, Magneto. Like, how do you get from Eric to Max?
Yeah, I'm just like, only Charles can call me Eric. Everybody else has to call
Magnus.
me or Magnus. Yeah,
Magnus.
And also confused because there's like multiple Magneto clones running around. There's Joseph, and then and I'm like, is this one of the clones? Is this one of the and he was de-aged at one point, and I think maybe that's when he started going by Max, when he de-aged himself. And then I don't know if this is because he died and came back, so I don't know if he's just been going by Max since he came back. Maybe. So I need some.
He did pick between his 3 personas. I don't know if he ended up on the Max one. So
see, I never read the Return of Magneto stuff. I didn't even know he picked between 3 personas.
I like this. Mad Mags.
That's
good. Thank you, Larry Kim.
I like this is for me. This was an okay start. I wasn't totally sold on it. I like Jed MacKay writing. I think Jed MacKay's sweet spot is like 5 characters. Any more than that, and then I think it gets a little muddled for him. Yeah. He's been writing. I haven't, and then like the fewer characters, the better for him, I would say. So when he first started writing the Avengers, I was like, I like it. It's okay, but there's like a lot happening, and the Avengers kept getting caught up in other people's like crossover
he immediately
events.
Introduces another team of 5 that they have to go up against.
Yeah. But I'm really enjoying the Blood Hunt stuff with Captain America, with Steve Rogers, Captain America, and Kate Bishop, Hawkeye, and Hercules, and stuff like where they're fighting Baron Blood. And it's a smaller group of Avengers. It's like there's only 5 of them, but he's really good at playing some of these characters off one another.
Yeah.
So in this book, the Hazmat Hercules relationship is super fun. Very reminiscent of what Kelly Thompson's doing over in Birds of Prey with Batgirl, Barda, and Batgirl. So there's some relationships that I'm very like the Magic Juggernaut stuff where they go back and forth a lot. That's real fun. The Quentin Quire Cyclops stuff is really fun. They go back and forth, but he keeps like having to cut back to Beast, and Beast is like with Zorn, and Beast is with Herman Glob, and Beast is with and I'm just like there's too much happening.
I do also feel like Marvel for the past 4 or 5 years has conditioned me to think like, oh, Beast is a bad guy, he's an asshole. And I know this is a different Beast because of how the stuff ended where they pulled the clone out and he's like the West Coast Avengers Beast, not the one that did all the bad shit. But it's hard. I mean, he looks like Beast. I do like he's kind of like marooned off in the basin of Alaska with the other freaks.
Yeah. He's also like I feel like if they're gonna try to rehabilitate Beast, like he's still kind of somber in this book.
Yeah,
like, he's still kind of like
they need to put his little glasses on.
That make him the ever loving.
Does a lot.
I'm pretty sure I could be making this up in my head, but I thought that I saw that they were going to do another Beast Wonder Man comic at some point. Maybe
they should. It was great especially if Gary Duggan's gonna write it, do it because it was great in X-Force.
Yeah, I totally want to see that again. But yeah, if they're gonna rehabilitate, if the call from on high is to rehabilitate Beast, then let's not have him do these morbid like, oh well, we've taken over as like the Sentinel factory, and
I think another thing that doesn't help is that Stegman does a lot of really thick, bold lines, especially his inker, JP
Mhm.
Mayer. So like I've seen people kind of complain a little bit about the look on Beast because he's got these like
Yeah.
sunken eyes, which of course he does. He's got his brow is out and furrowed, so like the shade would be in his eyes, especially in a place that's not very well lit. But I don't think that helps. It kind of makes him look a little bit more demonish.
Yeah.
Because if you're familiar with Stegman's work, like obviously he worked on a lot of stuff with like Null and his Vanished comic books. So it's a lot of characters that are more in that range. So I hope they spin off an Avengers book out of this. I would love that.
I would love that. Yeah. Yeah, I really do enjoy that. Other things I've read, and that Avengers book was also really entertaining. It wraps up its own little storyline. We can go back to Avengers. Blood Hunt, I
Probably
think,
my
wraps up
favorite
this next
tie-in.
couple of weeks.
My favorite tie-in, maybe next to Dracula, the whole Blood Hunt stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We've got Transformers. What number is this? 10? 10. Again, still great. They've done a really good job. I was about halfway reading through that comic when I'm like, oh, this is still tethered to the G.I. Joe stuff too. Like they've
Yep.
kind of really pulled away from that on the Transformers end of stuff. I mean, they've mentioned it. It played a heavy role in Duke. It played a bit of a smaller role in Cobra Commander. I think it was the Energon Universe special from the Free Comic Book Day where we saw that Megatron popped up. It was in Cobra Law.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of those mentions, like we haven't really seen a lot of crossover. Except something happens at the end of this book where I'm like, somebody on G.I. Joe's gotta see that happening, right? Like
Yeah.
at some point these things are gonna come together again, which kind of makes me excited because the way this book ends, I'm just like, oh, they're really starting to ramp things up here. I also enjoy the fact that it's like the Autobots have lost. Like the Decepticons have taken over. Like this isn't a civil war anymore. This is the Autobots are just about on their last legs,
Mm-hmm.
and the Decepticons have pretty much won. So it really kind of ups the ante and the stakes in the comics.
I really enjoyed the introduction of Beachcomber.
Mhm.
Like the first 5 or 6 pages of this is just a silent comic where you see like moments in his life where he's been, what he's been doing, how he got to where he is. And I also really enjoyed how he's diametrically opposed to the Shockwave character that they were just introduced a couple of issues ago. Whereas Shockwave is all about destruction and chaos, Beachcomber just wants peace and let things be the way they are.
It's interesting
so
that they've turned Shockwave into their like Mangala character, this kind of crazy, I'm gonna
He is
torture you, and
insane.
yeah.
He's like, when you call that friend that always gets you into trouble and you're like, fuck, we shouldn't have invited this guy. Yeah, like that. I don't even know if there would be a friend. It's probably just somebody that you know, and you're like, who invited this guy? We're gonna get into trouble now. That's Shockwave.
It's interesting because I haven't read a ton of Transformers comics. I'm more familiar with like the G1 cartoon stuff.
Yeah,
I've read some of them here and there, but for me, there's not like a lot of character to a lot these characters. But I'm enjoying for the first time for me seeing like Soundwave is kind of afraid of Shockwave. Like he's like, no, that guy's crazy.
yeah.
But people are afraid of Soundwave too because Soundwave's like so methodical and whatnot.
Yep.
So it's interesting to see how they put characters in all of these characters and then how they all play off of one another. Because Starscream is also still just kind of a lunatic person, but he's a lunatic in a different way,
Yeah.
And we still haven't even really met Megatron, so
I know he's still just out there roaming about. How are the Autobots supposed to even fight against any of this? I think the only thing they have is that all these guys are crazy enough that they'll take each other out.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so it's really good stuff.
I had a really hard time picking between the Warren Johnson and the Corona cover this week, so I just got them both.
I like the Corona cover. I like that they're
It's
just looking up in space and stuff.
it's so nice. Both of them are really peaceful, right? With I think that's RC and
Yeah,
I forget the name of the girl
the
character.
girl.
Yeah.
Daredevil 11.
How is that run going for you?
I'm enjoying it. I really do like it.
Okay.
Aaron Cooter, is it Aaron?
Yeah,
Aaron
Cooter's
Cooter's artwork is fantastic.
okay.
Like this guy, look at this.
Oh my god, that is sick. Is it like actual hell powers?
So at the end of the Zdarsky run, Daredevil dies and goes to hell,
Yeah.
and then he gets out of hell. And in this run, they don't really explain it. They haven't yet. But he's escapes hell, and he's just kind of been sort of rebooted, lightly rebooted in the Marvel universe as a Catholic priest.
Yeah.
So people remember. So the people in his life that remember Matt Murdock, they think he died, but they're starting to realize that he's back. And they haven't really explained that. Like, so Foggy has just learned that Matt Murdock is not dead, but they haven't really explained how he's now a Catholic priest and like what that meant for their law firm and what stuff and all that other stuff. So
The legal
but when
implications of that.
the legal implications of that. But when Daredevil escaped hell, he brought like 7 demons with him. Not with him, like these demons also escaped hell. So it's like
Oh,
the 7 deadly sins.
Hell
And
yeah.
so they are possessing people. So Kingpin is one of the people who have been possessed by greed, I think it is.
Is this
So he
who's
has to
writing?
fight.
Is it Ram B writing this?
It's Solid and Ahmed.
Solid and Ahmed. Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of, I mean, we're 11 issues into it, and they still haven't fully explained like all the ins and outs of how Daredevil is back alive and what that means and all the implications. But the artwork and what kind of breadcrumbs they have left, because Elektra Daredevil is popped up back up now. And they're all pissed at Matt because they find out that he's alive and like they thought he was dead and he just hasn't told
his
them.
memory's not back, is it? Does he remember he's Daredevil?
He knows he's Daredevil.
But does he remember everything? Like, does he remember he's mad and all that?
Yeah, I think so. But he does, and he knows that he died, and he knows he went to hell. He knows that he died fighting the Hand. So it's like he's aware of his previous life, but they haven't explained like that. What happened? Like how
Gotcha.
how the previous stuff makes sense in this version.
Okay.
But aside from that,
I need to catch up on this. I think I mentioned this before. I don't think I've ever read a bad Daredevil run since I started reading Daredevil, and that's been only the more recent stuff. Like I think Charles Soule or Mark Waid forward.
Mm-hmm.
So
that Mark Waid run is so good.
It's just you know what it is that scares me about this, and I forgot that Aaron Cooter's doing the art. That they keep doing for some reason, and I love John Romita Jr., but
he's doing all the covers
for this.
yeah, that is kind of one of those things, and I like JR art, but this Aaron Cooter stuff is so beautiful.
Right, like sell me the inside art with Cooter, or with somebody that draws like Cooter, like has the same style. Oh my god! Damn! All right, I'll probably go read Daredevil after this.
Yeah, it's so good.
All right, nice. Here I can do one while you if you want to take a quick break. You've been talking for like 10 minutes. So I did go out and I'll do a couple. I did go out and buy Kill All Immortals, the book we talked about last week. So you can go back and listen to the episode, or I cut out the video into an individual thing. Man, this is such a cool comic. I can't wait to see where this goes. For anybody that missed it, Immortal Vikings are running the world in a succession-style empire. You can also see me talk to Zach Kaplan, the writer of this, and my friend Mike on the I Read Comic Books. I guess you can hear us talk about it. You can't really see much of it. And also, one thing that's not on your list, so I'll talk about it. A Gotchaman, Galactor #1, So Gatchaman came out last week, the first one, the Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. And then I saw that they were having a Galactor. So I reached out to Mad Cave and I was like, hey, can you guys send me this one to review as well? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then I went to the store and I bought it. This is the Riley Rossmo cover, which is fantastic. I love Riley. But this one, so for those that are not familiar with the property, Galactor is like the name of the terrorist organization that fights against the Science Ninja Team. I love saying Science Ninja Team. But the leader, he's realized that there's an internal threat. So this is more like a little thing that's happening within the organization, which I like because in the cartoons you never get to see like the point of view of the villain. You never get to see what they're doing in between episodes, right? So this is really fun. It's got really beautiful art as well. Let me see if I can pull something up. And I really like the redesign that they gave. I forget the name of the main character. He's got a really weird name. But he goes, it also feels like an undercover boss kind of thing. He disguises himself as one of the henchmen to figure out, to try to suss out who's the mole or the threat. So that's really fun. Like here we can see him looking at a costume and putting it on and going undercover. So yeah, it's really fun. Steve Orlando's doing this with Catherine Lobo, whose art I'm not very familiar with, but I really enjoyed. And let me show you one more that I also think it's not on your list. Maybe you did buy it. This is Task Force 7, the Absolute Power. The cool thing about this one is that each one of the issues is going to be about one of the droids that's taken the powers of the Justice League.
Oh, cool.
This one's about the Last Son, which is the one that took all the Superman and Super Family powers, going up against the Shazam family. And then I got this really cool Dan Mora foil cover. So pretty fun issue. I'm enjoying Absolute Power, even though it just started. Like I think it's gonna be it.
Yeah,
it's looking to be.
Who is that written by?
This is by Leah Williams and with art by Katlin Yarsky. So yeah, it looks great and it's really fun. Leah Williams was doing. I don't know if she's still doing Power Girl, but she did all the backup stories for in Action Comics for Power Girl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, all right, Jeff. Now that you've had a chance to take a breath,
I did pick up the Domain comic that we reviewed last week.
Yes.
It's just as good physically as it was digitally.
That's right.
And then the last thing I have some other stuff that I haven't had a chance to read yet, but the last thing I read was Ain't No Grave #3, the Jorge Corona Scotty Young book.
Do you put on the Johnny Cash song when you're reading that?
I do, yeah. I listen to a lot of old school country. And,
no grave can keep. Oh, the Undertaker theme, I guess. If you from that one run where we were like, oh crap, he's so good. I wonder how many people's introduction to Johnny Cash was the Undertaker. Probably a lot.
A lot
of the younger crowd.
That's just a great book. Scotty Young, Jorge Corona doing the same thing they've always done. It's kind of this one's fantasy western.
Busy. He's a busy man.
Yeah, he is. For it, like that's like Kirby numbers.
He books out this week because he did. He was in the last issue of Beyond Rio, the Vault comic that just wrapped up. Of course, doing art for Transformers, and then Ain't No Grave. Oh, so speaking of,
yeah, this is what I haven't had yet a chance to read yet, but I have it here.
I'm looking for the other cover, the variant cover of that, because Liana Kanga did.
This book is wild, but the artwork in this thing is just like an artist jam.
Yes.
And it is so good. And I've kind of flipped through this, and I'm excited to read it. Like the artwork on this thing just sells it so much for me.
It's written by the same guy that did Kill All Immortals, so we also talked to him a little bit about that on the I Read Comic Books episode.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't had a chance to listen to that, not just you, Jeff, but like the audience, go listen to it. Zach Kaplan's a lot of fun. Maybe I'll invite him. He's got a few books. He's got a bunch of books coming out later on this year, so maybe I'll invite him on this show. Before we move into the movies, because we know we love the movies, and Jeff and I each have one in our list that we want to talk about. I did pick up. I mean, I've already read this, but I did pick up the trade for Kill Your Darlings.
Oh yeah.
It's a beefy one because it's got all 8 issues in here, but it's a really good deal because it's only $20.
That's cheaper than getting all
$20
8
for
issues
8
together.
issues. Fantastic stuff, and shout out to Ethan and Griffin and Bob Quinn, who have come on the channel multiple times. Yeah, really, really cool. Good luck to these guys. Hopefully, I can't wait to see what they do next. But yeah, if you haven't read this, well, for us on the channel, I have the preview copy on our drive. But for the audience, go check it out. It's really worth your time. It's a really fun kind of horror fantasy story. And I'll link after the show goes on video on demand. I'll link our interviews with the creators because it was really fun conversations. We did one prior to the book coming out, and we did a second show prior to the second half of the book coming out. So it's a very different conversation because the book was live, and this is these guys' first comic. The writers, both Ethan and Griffin, first time writers,
Really?
and they're Eisner nominated. So so there you go. And then Bob Quinn's a freaking legend. So all right, Jeff, was that
way to kick off your career there.
Yeah, right. Was that all your comics?
The other things I haven't.
Hunger in the Dusk, but I think I cut you off.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read it. This is this pick back up, Hunger in the Dusk.
Another
and then I got
really
the
fun
final
fantasy.
Sinister Sons. Yeah,
I'm gonna read that in the collected edition. I read the first one. I was like, maybe I'm not in the mood to read this right now. I'll probably try again.
It'll be a quick read in the collected edition, but it's fun. It's a fun book. Artwork's great. So we want to move on to movies now.
Yeah, we're gonna start kind of winding down. So let's talk about movies real quick. You watch one, I watch one. Why don't you start? Because I can't wait to actually hear what you think of this one.
So last week or 2 weeks ago, I saw the movie Thelma, which was about an old lady who got scammed out of a bunch of money by a phone call person. And everybody that I told I saw this movie, they're like, "Oh, you saw The Beekeeper?" And I was like,
including myself. I said the same thing.
I have to go watch this Beekeeper movie. So I noticed that it was on Peacock or whatever. So I watched it. And you know what? Exact same movie. This Beekeeper is this is the best kind of dumb action movie that there is. Like this is what I want from when I think of like like Invasion, this is like today's standard like Invasion USA kind of thing. Like this is Beekeepers are a military group, unaffiliated military group who just like make sure that the world is operating correctly, I guess. They're kind of real big about that. Jason Statham is the beekeeper, a retired beekeeper. And all beekeepers are like the most badass people on the planet. They make sure to tell you that midway through the movie. Jeremy, what's his name? Jeremy, the villain, not really the villain, but
Scar.
Scar, yeah. I can't believe my mind's blinking. It may not even be Jeremy. Maybe that's why I'm can't get it right. He does a really good. He's not really the villain, but he still kind of gives that kind of villainy performance.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons, yes. But Jason Statham is just so good at being like stoic, and then I'm just gonna kill you. I don't know how you. And the whole time he's like, I'm a beekeeper, and people. This is part I do love about dumb action movies. Is like when somebody you don't want to mess with, like says something like, I'm a beekeeper or I grew puppies or whatever, but you still look at him, you can tell like, I'm not going to mess with this guy. But just because he says like, I tend to flowers, like everybody's like, oh, the florist, huh? Well, let's make fun of you. And then he ends up killing them all. I'm just like, just look at the guy. It doesn't matter what he says he is, like, don't mess with him. But there's a lot of that kind of posturing in this movie. And I love that stuff. Like, it's so dumb. There's a lot of good one-liners. There's a lot of good action. A lot of body parts get cut off. This is
PETA is the actual villain.
PETA.
PETA
is,
Malloy.
Yeah.
From the
PETA
Hunger
Malloy
Games.
is the actual villain. Yeah, he does a good job of being a villainous kid.
Little dirtbag.
And it really did shock me how far the corruption went up. Like honestly, I was
okay. So without giving anything away, what did you think of like that kind of twist? Like, with
uh,
things, did you
I
figure it out?
thought no. Well, I about midway through the movie, I was just like, if this thing goes, I silently made the joke to myself. It goes all the way to X,
Right,
and then it
right,
turns out it went all the way to X, and I was just like, oh, this is that. This is that kind of movie, and I'm
yeah.
100% in.
Well,
I thought for a second they had me. Well, it shocked me that Minnie Driver was in the movie, like in this kind of weird throwaway role, like. And I was like, is that Minnie Driver? No way, is that Minnie Driver? And then I looked up the cast, and there she is. This thing has pretty stacked cast, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. It's dumb, but it's dumb fun. It's fun, dumb.
You would think Jeremy Irons would just be like in those isolated office scenes, but he gets into the nitty gritty, like eventually into the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, all right, go for it.
And I love that the call centers are like very much like part like this like digital nightclub kind of looking thing.
The most incredible part of that film is not anything with the beekeepers or any of the action, is the fact that there would be call centers in America.
It's true.
So
yeah,
there you go.
And the look of those call centers, they look like just giant.
The film is just asking to bring jobs back to America.
100%.
Cool. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I agree with you. It's dumb. I feel like a lot of people dismiss this just because David Ayer was doing it, or because Jason Statham is starring in it. But like, sometimes their movies are just like very entertaining, and I would love to see more of this beekeeper world.
Oh, like, it's totally set up for a sequel. I mean, it doesn't even have to be Jason Statham that's the beekeeper. Like,
no, you could have beekeepers all over the world. You could have different countries produce their own beekeeper type of film, because I think like the ideas would be different, right? Like things that are important here are probably not important in other countries, but it could be something else. It's really, really fun idea. So kind of like John Wick, you could just kind of take that in so many directions. Cool.
Yeah, it is very much in John Wick. It kind of sets up its own universe of like, and I like that all the government officials knew what the beekeepers, like the higher ups, like, oh, we don't really talk about the beekeepers. Like they're just like, we don't talk about that, but we know all about it.
So would you recommend, when Thelma is on VOD, would you recommend a double feature?
100%. This is the best double feature that you can watch. Not even taking out the fact that they deal with the same subject loosely. Like they just complement each other so well, I think.
This is better than your Skyfall, Battle LA, or your Deep Impact, Armageddon. Like all those movies that kind of feel like they're riffing off of each other. They're not. These
two are actually complement each other.
Yeah. Very nice. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope more people watch The Beekeeper, so that we will get eventually another one, because I would love that. Okay. Well, HBO added a bunch of movies to their slate this week. I mean, they're always adding movies and taking them away, but this week I saw that Panic Room had just been added. That's David Fincher's from like 2001, 2002, I think. It's what he did right after Fight Club. Man, I remember, I knew I liked this movie. I didn't realize how good of a movie. Like, this is the first time I watch it with like more critical eyes. Like now that I've like, oh, okay, this is good filmmaking.
Jodie Foster.
Kristen Stewart is her daughter. Like, she was very, very young. What's his name? Oh, jeez. Forrest Whitaker. Jared Leto with cornrows.
Oh, wow.
Jared Leto and his cornrows star in an amazing role. But the whole premise of this, for anybody that hasn't seen it, is Jodie Foster and her daughter Kristen Stewart move into a new brownstone in Manhattan, which I don't know the market. That definitely would be like you would not be able to find the property like that nowadays in this real estate. But yeah, they find a house and it's a home invasion movie. So like some guys go in and there's something in the house that they want. Jodie Foster and her daughter end up in the panic room, and from there, just like the whole movie evolves. This is like one of those like pretty much one location movies, and I think David Fincher just really finds a way to, because it's a little over an hour and a half, so he definitely finds a way to just keep you engaged the whole time. There's some really fun. I love when the camera's following something and it goes kind of like inside of like cables or like a pipe or those transitions to take you to another place without having an actual cut. He does a lot of that stuff, and yeah, I think David Fincher just builds a really cool atmospheric thriller that kind of turns upside down halfway through the film, which is why I didn't remember all of it. I knew the big beats, but I didn't remember all of it. Specifically the latter half. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you have HBO and you've never seen this or you haven't seen it in a while, I recommend it. If this was my first time I saw Kristen Stewart in anything, I could tell you that she was going to be a great performer, just because of her performance in this film. So yeah, highly recommend Panic Room. Maybe Jeff will talk about Panic Room next week since I've told him about it. Since it's on
I
HBO.
don't think I've ever seen it. I might have seen chunks of it. I don't think I've ever seen it though.
I like David Fincher a lot. I think he's one of my favorite directors. I don't know that there's anything that I haven't enjoyed by him. I don't blame him for Aliens 3. That was somebody else's movie that he came in to finish. And I haven't seen Mank. I don't think I'll ever watch that because he made that movie for like his dad. So like, go off, King. I don't. So
just make it for your dad. That's fine.
Right, just make a movie for your dad. His dad loved Citizen Kane, so the movie's all about the making of Citizen Kane.
That's a good movie. Citizen Kane is a good movie.
You've seen Mank?
I've not seen Mank. I've seen Citizen Kane.
You've seen Citizen Kane?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think Gary, what's his name? Commissioner Gordon, Gary
Oldman.
Gary Oldman is the George Orwell. I think that's the director of Citizen Kane.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles. God, no, I'm really bad with names. I don't know why we try, and I have notes and everything, but not on that. Yeah. Anyways, go off.
So Mank was the producer of. I know a little bit about Citizen Kane. Mostly what I know about Citizen Kane is that Orson Welles like basically started filming it in secrecy, and that he did not let the studio know that was the movie because he couldn't get that movie made because of William Randolph Hearst would have and did try to crucify him.
So he started pretending to make another movie.
So he was pretending to make another movie the whole time he was making Citizen Kane. And they would do the things where they would like hide the set and stuff, like when studio producers would come in and they would like do stuff and like so the producers would think that they were making another movie. And then at some point they eventually found out, like when they were too far into the process, he finally was like, actually, I'm making Citizen Kane.
Is Mank a comedy? Maybe I should watch it. That sounds fun. Yeah. Like I want to see the scene where a producer is about to walk in and like they have like a stage that they could just rotate.
They just roll out.
Yeah. Or like the bed folds back up into the the big bed that's in the bedroom.
Yeah, like
it just folds up into the wall. What's that?
People have like tearaway costumes and stuff.
Yeah, what's that sled doing there by the fireplace? Nothing.
Yeah. That's just a rosebud, and they put like a rose plant in front of it, and that's how it got its name.
Look at us acting like we've seen Citizen Kane.
Yeah, so that's and then Orson Welles had like a really interesting like little bit because he made Citizen Kane. It gets released, and William Randolph Hearst, who it's loosely about, has a meltdown. He's like the media tycoon. He's
Oh,
the
okay.
Rupert Murdoch of his day, basically.
Fuck that guy.
And so he runs a full-on campaign against Citizen Kane. Like he's just like, I will not publicize the movie in my papers. He tries to get movie theaters to not carry the movies. And it's a full-on camp. Like it gets nominated for a whole bunch of Oscars, only wins one. And it almost kills Orson Welles' career. But then he goes on to make The Magnificent Ambersons. And that has its own little funny story because that is like one of the first movies that gets pulled from a director. So he started making The Magnificent Ambersons, and because Citizen Kane had so much controversy and like craziness behind it,
Yeah.
once Magnificent Amberson starts going over budget, the studio pulls it from him, like pulls him from the project and replaces him as director. And the film was almost finished. So somewhere out there is an Orson Welles version of The Magnificent Ambersons that has been like the holy grail for film movie watchers, because the movie that is out there is like The Suicide Squad, where it was taken from David Ayers and somebody else came in and finished it. That's what The Magnificent Ambersons is. So it's kind of an Orson Welles movie. He's still given credit for it, but
See,
but
it's crazy to see people go nuts about like Zack Snyder or David Ayer when like this has been going on forever in Hollywood.
yeah, 100%. It's been going on forever.
All right. Well, while we're talking about them, so these are all David Fincher's film as per Letterboxd. I've seen most of them. I haven't seen The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but that is also now on HBO. Maybe that'll be my next film. But yeah, I mean, I haven't seen I haven't seen Rick Springfield live. All right, excuse me, or his short in Love, Dead Robots. But everything else, even though this is 6 out of 14, I've seen all of them. But this one, and so everything but 4. And I really like all of them. I think they're all very good, except for Benjamin Button. I don't know why. I just don't like that film. I don't know if you have any strong feelings about any of these.
I enjoy. Let me see. I really like The Social Network. Gone Girl is okay. I'm not like a huge Fincher fan. The stuff is a little bit too moody for me. But it's good. I've seen the only ones I haven't seen on here are I haven't seen Mank. I haven't seen Killer. Is that what that is?
Oh yeah, The Killer. That's a Netflix film. Michael
I haven't seen
Fassbender.
Panic Room.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen the Rick Springfield. I haven't seen the Love, Death, and
Maybe that'll
Robots.
be the thing. I'll recommend the movie a week, and then you'll go try to watch it by the next show, like we did with The Beekeeper. Hopefully they work for you.
I'll just watch the Rick Springfield.
That's right. Yeah, the Rick Springfield concert. Yeah, we're gonna do a live reaction to it later on in the week. So, all right. I think that's a show. I think we did a show, Jeff.
That's it. 2 weeks in a row. Two people. 2 weeks in a row.
We don't need the other guys. I'm gonna fire them. Which means I just won't send them the link anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any recommendations to close out? If not, we can just go home.
I'm gonna go to well, if you live in the Dallas area, there is the I didn't even realize this was happening this weekend. Retro Expos this weekend.
Oh, I saw that. Where is that? It's in Plano?
I think it's in Plano, yeah.
That's farther than I want to go in this heat.
Yeah, I usually go because it's usually more the convention that I like, because since it's more retro expo rather than I'm sometimes I get more involved in like just nostalgic stuff, ephemera stuff, as opposed to like looking for specific comics or whatever toys. So that's usually the one I enjoy going to, because sometimes they have more interesting stuff that I like going to. But there's a different thing in Fair Park, Dallas today. It's like the 70s vintage expo or something like that.
Oh.
So I'm gonna try to go hit that up later on today.
Nice.
But yeah, those are the only things. So maybe I'll have some fun finds to share next week.
Hell yeah. So if you see Jeff out in the wild, say hi, or don't. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Depending on your social circumstances there.
Yeah.
You don't
if I scream and run away, just don't be shocked. That's my reaction.
I'll have to give you some next issue stickers.
Yeah.
or when you see it go out and about.
Some
All right.
merch.
I'm gonna recommend. So this Friday, you probably saw it on the channel. The card game that I'm playing, Star Wars Unlimited, they released a new set called Shadows of the Galaxy. It's really fun. It's a little, I guess compared to other games, it's not as expensive, but it's still kind of pricey. But if you can, if you go to your local shop, people will help you get into the game. I really enjoy it, and in the channel you'll see a bunch of videos of me opening all my packs and talking about some of this stuff, and you'll see gameplay. So if you like trading card games, you can find stuff on the channel for that, or for the One Piece game, which I really got into as well. So yeah, that's my recommendation. And of course, go read comics. I gotta go read a bunch of comics to do content for next week. But
so many comics to read.
So many comics. So cool. All right, we did it. We had a show. So thanks for everybody that watched live. Carlos, big shout out. Leonard Kim with that
Thank you,
zinger.
guys. At some point, we'll get back to our.
We sent our reporter on the field to find
the
some of the other
Sharks.
guys.
We'll maybe talk about Sharks at some point. But I was gonna say, what's the bracket thing? The
yeah.
bracket.
So the event bracket should be coming back next week. That we won't unless there's other scheduling conflicts. We will keep doing that. We'll keep that because I know you guys are waiting for that, and then we'll do Jaws at some point. Shark Week is forever, apparently, according to the Discovery Channel.
Forever and ever.
Shark Week is for life. So, all right, that'll do
Twisters
it.
comes out next week, I think. So maybe I'll go try to catch that.
Comes out next week. Yeah, I'm gonna watch. They just put Twister on HBO as well. So if you were looking forward to that, or if you've never seen it,
so good.
Go check it out before the second film.
Yeah, that'll be my recommendation. Go watch Twister.
Another Jodie Foster film. No, that's Helen Hunt.
No, that's Helen Hunt.
I get them mixed up.
It's like,
but that's not my fault. I mean, sometimes white ladies look alike. So, all right. Well, cool. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks.
The most important thing in life will always be
Hail Bebo.
Loves you.
Simon Center, get the fuck out.